Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine Podcast. We're hosted on Anchor.fm, and we are streamed worldwide on all of your favorite streaming platforms. My name is Nick. Joining me, as they do every single week, Andrew is here. Tristan is also here. What's going on, fellas?
Oh, not too much. It's been a busy weekend. But I guess I'm ready to go back to work tomorrow.
Weekends are always too short.
It was an immense feeling packed into that sigh.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we're in the most annoying part of spring every year, like when you were in school and all you wanted to do is leave school, or when you were in college and you could leave school, the part where professors are trying to get you to take it seriously, like post spring break, and you just couldn't get less of a shit.
Exactly. But I'm still bracing for that one last winter storm. Just because Easter happened does not mean we're out of the woods yet.
That is a good point. Yes, you are correct.
I'm not falling for that for the third year in a row. But we've kind of, through all this, circumstances being as they may, we record most of the time now. We record Sunday nights, and as much as I look forward to recording with you guys on Sunday nights, there's also in the back of my head, like, this is the last piece of my weekend. Like, weekend is winding down. This is the last thing to do, and then it's sleep, alarm, work.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
As much as I look forward to this, I'm also in the back of my head like, aw. This weekend's
It was
over.
better when it kicked off the weekend, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to get back to that cadence sometime soon. So, guys, what is on the docket for this evening?
Well, I have a note here from, I don't know if he's ever listened to the podcast, but it's someone named Nick that says, "Oh, is this you, Nick? Is this a note from you?"
Maybe.
That says, "Well, why don't you? This is your idea. Why don't you explain it? Because I don't think I can do it justice. Because I don't know what you mean."
This is something, and we've tossed around the idea for a while. It's we talked about what we're going to call it. How are we going to kind of frame it up? But what we settled on is essentially like a guilty pleasures episode. So there's cars out there, or there's brands out there that maybe we don't talk about too often. We shit on BMW a lot, so you hear about that. Tesla's always in the news, so we talk about, used to talk about BMW. You hear us talk about Tesla a lot, but there's, Andrew's a Hyundai person, Tristan's a VW Audi person. So there's these brands we bring up a lot to use as examples in context and all these types of things. But then there's other brands that make good models that, we just don't shed a lot of light on. And, we kind of converted this into, originally we were going to call it like a dark horse, like ones that you didn't see coming. But it's more now, I think we framed it up as like a guilty pleasure type, like what cars that maybe people don't like, you secretly kind of have an affinity for. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is kind of sort through some of those.
I'll admit that I struggled with this because I feel like I'm pretty transparent about the things I like. All right, so I guess let me explain. When I think of guilty pleasure, I think of what people used to say like 5 to 7 years ago. "Oh, I only like it ironically," when really there was never any difference between liking something ironically and just liking it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I struggle a bit with this, and I think I'm going to be interested to see what you guys have to judge it and see if our interpretations, or where we ended, is the same. Because I don't really know.
As a side note, Nick, I didn't know you were telling the entire life cycle of this idea, and I was like, oh no, we did it again. Two of us prepared for one podcast, and one of us prepared for a different one.
It just wouldn't be our
But-
show if we all did the same thing.
We're good. I'm on the same page.
Yeah, I think the way I just framed it up is just one of two ways. Like a car that I really enjoy that either we just don't talk about too much, or like one that it's almost like you're embarrassed to say that you like it because it's been shit on so much. But it's like, you know what? Actually, I do kind of have a soft spot for that. Like that's how I looked at it.
Cool. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
But before we dive into that, we traditionally like to kick off this podcast with something we call Pace Laps. Any neat car news or little news tidbits that anybody has to go around the horn and share.
I have a fresh tiddly bit here.
All right.
Oof. Gross.
Spring is the season of new things,
Forgiveness.
of renewal and new things. And I'd like to announce a new addition to the Check Engine Podcast extended family of vehicles.
Oh.
My dad actually has purchased something that was brought to our attention by you, actually, Andrew.
Huh?
The remarkable, cornucopia, panoply, myriad of excellently priced used Volkswagens at Hall Volkswagen.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. Okay. I was like, what the hell is this mislead? Where is this going? But no, there is a local dealership that when I was looking at cars was stocked to the absolute brim with super low mileage, really well priced, certified used cars like GTIs, GLIs, all of the trims of the CC, the Passat, the Arteon, like everything. They had everything.
So he has brought home a new to us and technically new to anyone 2019 Volkswagen Golf Sportwagen.
Really?
Ooh. I looked at that. I was going to go test drive that.
And he found the 4Motion one.
Nice.
And so it's a 4Motion Golf All-Track, or not All-Track, sorry, Sportwagen. We're looking at the All-Track also. And it's a lovely shade of deep blue, and is new from 2019 with 12,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Awesome.
Because it was a loaner executive car something in Detroit for like 2 years, or in the Michigan area for 2 years. And then they picked it up as new from Volkswagen, and they sold it with, the full extent of the new warranty, plus like a year or two and the 12,000 miles to make it complete. So it was. I went to go test drive it, and it is a good vehicle. If I didn't want, can always discuss, need, quote unquote, but if I didn't want something bigger that could tow stuff, that would be the perfect car for me. And as it stands, I loved it when I test drove it. It was a riot. The DSG is still amazing, especially compared to the first generation one in the GTI that he had. That felt like, a robot shifting gears for you. This one feels like magic.
Awesome.
And and it's got the venerable. We're making a return to a 1.8 liter turbocharged VW wagon. All-wheel drive wagon.
Mm-hmm. Is that still the 5-cylinder?
No, it's the 4-cylinder. Basically, just the updated version of what I had in my Audi, my A4 wagon.
Oh, back in the day.
Oh,
Yep.
I remember that wagon. Oh, that's so cool. So did he have to trade anything in for this, or was this just a straight up purchase?
No, we're going to let the Jeep expire from roadworthiness next year. It sadly had just been renewed. But we're letting the Jeep expire from roadworthiness and letting it live out its retirement as a workhorse around the property here, because it can actually get a surprising number of places with a bunch of tools or chopped up wood put in the back or whatever. So it's going to be retiring to that. And the Mercedes is going to be still going to have the Mercedes as the fun car. But a little bit behind the scenes, the foot came down when there was a phone call, and my mom was like, "You're going to come and get me this weekend, right?" Yes, I just got the Jeep to pass emissions, and I got to fix the check engine light on the Mercedes, but I'll definitely be there to pick you up.
However,
and it's like, no, could you just get a more reliable car? So they took care of that this weekend.
A responsible choice.
Yes. So no, it's great. Once we get weather that is anything outside of absolutely London during the Industrial Revolution gray, I will get pictures of it and put it on the Instagram.
Nice.
That's fantastic.
That's exciting.
So you've driven it once?
Yeah, I test drove it.
Good stuff.
I was driving it so hard I almost hit an Audi coming the other direction. So
really?
Yeah. I don't think either of us thought the other person was coming around the corner as fast as they were.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
How long have you had it?
He literally picked it up like yesterday.
So another one of those day before recording.
Friday.
Okay, still.
Friday. I ran over and test drove it after work. So Friday.
Very cool.
Yeah,
man.
I like that.
We got at some point when everybody's vaccinated and all that good stuff, we just got to get together and do a car swap. Everybody's just got to drive everybody's new stuff. That would be great. I had one not from our immediate podcast family. I sent you guys pictures of this earlier today. Friend of the show, also named Nick, who is the fine gentleman who does our check engine podcast iRacing liveries, sent me a picture from the cockpit of a McLaren 650S today. And then some pictures, obviously, of the car on the outside in a garage, and no context, just these images. And then he was sitting in a McLaren 650S. So naturally, I sent back, what the fuck?
What is this?
This is his father-in-law's new toy.
Wow.
Just picked up a 650S. So that's sweet. So then my first question back to Nick was, have you driven it yet?
Of course.
He said, quote, "Not yet, but I did give him a grandchild, so hopefully soon."
Oh, that's the balance there. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Here's a grandbaby. Let me drive your McLaren.
It's not a bad trade-off.
I would agree to that at the negotiating table. I think
I am out here making kids for free. This is bullshit.
I know, right? So, did you have anything in writing, or can you renegotiate it?
Not even a Porsche Carrera in the offing.
Too bad. But yeah, go Nick, go. Hopefully he gets a chance to run that 650S pretty soon, and let us know how it goes. We'll with his permission, I'll post a picture up on the site later. Gorgeous, like candy apple color with like a matching trim around the rims. Like just an awesome machine. Anything from you, Andrew?
Yeah, I saw something that's less exciting, but something it was a piece of information I didn't know.
Okay.
So I was driving who knows where the other day. Oh, actually, I have two things. The first thing is this. I was driving somewhere, who the hell knows where, and I saw a Dodge Ram skate past me on the freeway that had Chick-fil-A logos on it, but it wasn't like wrapped, which I thought was weird.
Okay.
So I looked it up, and apparently Chick-fil-A has a program for their franchise owners where if you hit your sales targets, you will get something to drive. Apparently they used to do like Ford trucks, right? But now obviously they're doing Rams for a year. And if you hit them in 2 years in a row, you get to keep it. So it literally says, apparently, on the sticker, although I just saw Chick-fil-A at the time, but the actual sticker says Chick-fil-A award winner. And they're just like a little applique on the door, but otherwise, I would assume you even get to pick the color, right? It's just like a whole truck, full size truck with a little Chick-fil-A logo on the side. If you're a top franchise owner,
So they award you with a truck as like a trial, basically. In order to
And then if
actually
you
keep
keep
it, you
doing
have to
well-
do it again. So that'd be an interesting conversation if I'm the guy in charge of getting the trucks back.
I'm sorry, you didn't meet your goals this year. I gotta ask for the keys.
We have to come take your truck back. Hopefully you have another mode of transportation.
Right. I mean, also, it's kind of like, it's a little bit
I wonder if it's like
Avon
a full-on
lady, right?
company vehicle then, where like you get to expense gas and stuff, or
that was the implication in the article I saw. You get it for free for the first year, right? So it's essentially a company lease. I would assume you can then either business expense the gas, or they give you some sort of card for that. And then year 2, you get the car, but then you pay for all that stuff.
so it's almost like a lease to own type of thing.
If you do good.
If you do good. I guess that's a decent carrot to dangle out there for people to keep them motivated, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the second thing was, I saw my first Bronco.
Ah,
Aha.
2 for 3.
I saw a gray, the 4-door one in gray, and it looked like ass. It looked horrible. It looks so bad, horrible, just awful.
I think for me too, the one I saw was a 4-door, and I think like all the ads and everything that at least I'd been paying attention to had been a 2-door. So I was just taken aback that the first one that I saw was a 4-door. It looked, I mean, the 2-door doesn't look great anyway, but the 4-door just looks even more awkward to me.
So the one I saw was like gray on gray on gray. Everything was just various shades of gray. So that may have played a part, but what I said last time was that I needed to see it in the actual sheet metal to judge it accurately, because the pictures on the website look pretty crappy. And now seeing it in the sheet metal, I think it actually does look pretty crappy in real life.
Yep.
And I think with that car specifically, A, advanced like high trim lighting packages, and B, bright colors do most of the lifting in terms of the look of that truck. I think a lot of the options and a lot of the colors are going to look terrible.
Yeah, I was never that big on it. I know there was a lot of people that were obviously super stoked about it when it was announced, and
Was it the real Bronco or the Bronco Sport?
What's the difference?
Isn't the Sport one of them's the 4-door, right?
It was the 4-door one, whatever.
No, there's
that is.
there's a 4-door regular one too.
Oh,
What does that mean? What does it mean?
There's 2-door seating and 4-door seating, and like numbers for both. And if you go through the gallery, I think there's pictures of both. But anyway, basically, is it more box or less box? The Bronco Sport at least makes a passing wave at aerodynamics with like a raked windshield.
Oh,
then it was more box.
it's all of the box.
Yes, so
The entire box.
it was a quote unquote real Bronco.
Got it. Because I think the Bronco Sport looks unassuming but boring, and I think the Bronco has, depending on options and colors and stuff, like looks more or less bad. Like the dark blue one, I don't think that looks too shabby. But then like you look at the base model one and it's like just all black, and it's like, I don't care for that. So it's, I don't know. There's something that makes it or doesn't, and I don't know what it is.
I feel like you shouldn't leave it up to a shade of paint to make or break the aesthetics.
I totally agree, but actually that was something that I was driving around with Meg. She didn't see it. I did, and I was trying to describe it to her. And I was like, those cars that you see them, you don't really know what a car looks like until you see it in like white, right? White or silver. But then when you see it in a color, there are definitely cars that when you see it in a color that's special, especially like a yellow or a bright green or something like that, that does most of the lifting for the car. And I think that's actually a problem that I had with the original Stinger, which was pretty good, but they made it a lot better. It came in that yellow and it looked incredible. But when you see a Gen 1 Stinger in like red, it looks very blah. It's just like, eh.
Yeah, you need the yellow, or they have that orange that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like that magma orange or whatever. And then actually that gunmetal color on the Stinger looks really good too.
Yeah, that like flattish gray.
The flattish
but yeah,
gray.
There definitely are cars where the color can make it or ruin it, but you definitely don't want to depend on that. I don't know. Maybe I just was never meant to.
You know, I know I'm probably biased, but like a sweet spot, in my opinion, is like the Subaru Crosstrek. Like it looks fine in black. It looks fine in silver. But then you get those ones that are like either the bright orange, the bright yellow, or the bright electric lime green. And those look awesome. But like the regular colored ones, quote unquote, don't look bad. But like you can definitely rely on colors to really make a few models pop. But like the regular one has to look fine in that case.
I just think I'm not meant to like the Bronco. I mean, obviously, because my first instinct was to mistrust everything everyone was saying, because it felt like a social media influencer push type thing. Like, it felt very fake and generated. And now that I've seen one, I don't think I've moved off my initial theory about the popularity of the whole thing that they were doing, just simply because it completely fell off the map. And also now seeing it, I feel like if they didn't work so hard, Ford, if they didn't work so hard to drum up all this excitement, I don't think this car sitting on lots is selling itself.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. But I think that's the purpose. Yeah, that's the purpose of any marketing campaign, right? You can't just drop it out on a lot and hope people come take a look at it. You got to entice them somehow.
It is funny though, because something that it is selling is old Broncos.
Yeah,
I mean, that was always going to be a thing.
Yeah, they're like collectibles now.
But okay, let me put it this way: if this exact vehicle was an excursion, what would it be? If it wasn't so wholly dependent on the name and the image and the sales push behind the name Bronco, would this even be anything?
Oh, it'd be Ford's attempt at an FJ.
Yes.
That's what it would be. And then they'd be like, oh, Ford failed in their attempt at an FJ.
Yeah, so no, it wouldn't be anything.
Yeah, I guess that was my long-winded answer of saying that's not going to be anything.
Nothing.
But they're relying on Ford's relying on the member berries, the old nostalgia machine, and we're going to put Bronco on the door and see what happens.
Yeah, and OJ definitely did it.
Oh, totally. Everybody knows that, dude. Everybody knows that. Anybody have anything else? In a breaking bit of news, OJ did it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Andrew, here it is. The obligatory. We're a car podcast, not a murder mystery podcast.
Not a murder mystery podcast.
Not a true crime podcast.
Serial 2. No, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. So let's dive into this main theme of the evening, which is, again, guilty pleasure cars / dark horse cars that we don't think get enough love or get enough credit. But before we do that, just want to remind you guys quick how to get a hold of us on the socials. You can find us on Facebook if you search Check Engine Podcast. Andrew, where can they find us on Twitter?
At Check Engine Pod.
And Tristan, where can they find us on Instagram?
Also at Check Engine Pod.
There you go. So be sure to like, follow, share, post, DM. You can reach out how and when you can on those channels, folks. You can ask us questions to answer on air. You can let us know your opinions on the shit that we talk about on our episodes. Let us know what you like and don't like. Give us topic ideas. Anything you want. We welcome the communication. So thank you in advance. Now, guilty pleasures. How do we want to set this up? Is this just kind of round robin? Are we going to...
Oh yeah, let's pay some respect to the classic format, and let's just circle it around.
Hey, I don't know. You were mentioning before we turned the mics on, Andrew, how you like to keep it fresh sometimes and don't want to just fall into the same.
But you got to sometimes give the people what they need, and I think this is clearly something they need. However, I will say this: I think that I'm going to have to shotgun last here because I have cars picked out, but I don't know what a guilty pleasure car is, and nor do I know where it fits in the list of cars that you like. Because obviously, if it's a guilty pleasure car, you like it, but the implication about a guilty pleasure is that you should or do feel bad about it for some reason. So give me some context.
I think that's where you might be having problems with this idea. Is to have a guilty pleasure, you have to care what anybody else thinks. So
yeah, and since you don't ever, that might.
I've told you there are times it has happened.
So yeah, that might be where your issue is, but
I got one Tristan's gonna love, anyways.
I don't know. So
good.
So do you guys just want me to kick it off, Andrew? Just give you an example, maybe.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, so the first one I chose is a car that it belongs to a brand who I think we've actually questioned whether or not they still make cars on the on the show. It's one that gets, at least nowadays, very little pub, very little love from anybody. And even when this car was first out there and people were, at least in its first iteration, they were kind of hot on it, there were a lot of other people who were like, no, and there was kind of mixed bag. The people either really liked it or they really didn't. And just kind of because of the way the brand is viewed, this isn't something that I've brought up before to you guys, but especially the first generation and the most recent, there's that middle iteration of it, the middle facelift, which was complete ass. But I really liked the Chrysler 300C.
Oh, boo. Get this man out of here.
See, that's
why I didn't bring it up, because I knew I was going to get hate for it. That's a guilty pleasure car.
Was this a bad reaction to have?
It's funny you mention it, because I actually saw what I thought was actually a really nicely done one today while I was driving around.
There can be
nice mods and stuff
okay.
Like
well,
that.
all right. Well, hold on. All right. Into that. So this would be the first question, right? I think this probably fits it pretty well. Because I booed you, and you deserve it. but
I see what you put in the chat too, Andrew. No, that is not on my list at all.
I was trying to. I put a guess in the chat. I was guessing he was going to say the Fiat 500 of Barth. But all right. So here's the question about the 300C specifically, right? Because it's essentially just the Charger with a weird body kit. So I think that puts it in an odd position in terms of just like being a car and existing. But I also think the biggest problem with the 300 is the fact that I haven't seen one even sitting on a dealer lot that's completely stock.
Right. And I think that's kind of what I like about it, is that it's very easy to make very much your own without a lot of effort. It might just be rims, it might just be a window tint, it might be something pretty basic. But yeah, as it sits on a lot, it's like, you can kind of pass by it. But Tristan just mentioned it too. He saw one. Like if you get there's a couple that were rolling around here. It was that deep gunmetal Stinger gray, and it has black rims and a window tint on it. And I'm like, that actually looks pretty badass. That's actually a pretty nice looking car. Now, it's a Chrysler and it's probably all rust underneath, and it's probably going to last them for 2.5 years in Wisconsin. But I don't know. I always have kind of had a soft spot. Like, I'm not actively going out to get it, but if I were forced to have a 300C, I wouldn't be that pissed off about it.
Oh no, sir!
Not even
Please.
no, don't. Not even forced, but just like if you like happened into one as like a contest prize or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Contest prize.
okay, like you're at the Indian casino and you hit the slot machine and there's the 300C on the turntable, right? It's like, oh, okay. I guess all right. I could do something with that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I consider paying the tax on that.
Yeah, exactly. I would. There you go, Andrew. I would consider paying the tax on a 300C.
Okay, all right, okay. I think I have the idea here. Tristan, what's your first one?
All right, so my first one, I'm trying to decide how mad I want to make Nick first. All right, let's go for it.
It takes a lot to get me pretty mad, as you know.
So very much along the lines of yours, Nick. If I like got a really good deal on one, or won it as a prize, although it wouldn't happen anymore, it would be the C4 Corvette.
C4, huh?
Yeah, I think it's. I like the more squared off design language in that, because I think it's actually, here's I don't know, maybe I'm probably an unpopular opinion, but I think if the rear end of the Corvette through the C7 is going to look like the rear end of the Corvette through the C7, where they just kind of and they're done,
lopped it off,
then the more blocky body style of the rest of the C4 actually happens to fit that pretty well. And I think they did, weirdly of all things, I like the like turn indicator lamp placement and little things like that. And it came in some cool colors that are, kind of tied to that time period. And like I saw one the other day that was rolling around in this like deep maroon color.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like the deep maroon, the like, I don't know, they all have this, but the deep maroon, the gunmetal gray, that kind of yellow color that was really oddly specific to the 90s, where it wasn't quite canary yellow, it was kind of like washed out canary yellow.
Yeah,
I like the colors, I like the lamps, I like the pointy yet kind of squared off nose, where it kind of comes down, the hood comes down, but then it ends.
It's and like
they've
a wedge.
got all the they've got all the marker lights in the front, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's I know it's kind of the hated on bastard child of the 80s, and all the way through the mid 80s, from the mid 80s to the mid 90s. Not a notoriously excellent year set for cars, but I like that car and find myself kind of watching it go by and like looking at it in parking lots probably more often than I should.
Well, here's the thing, Tristan, because of the general opinion, like the prevailing opinion on the C4, you can, if you really want, you could pick one up pretty cheap.
Yeah,
like you could pick one up very cheap to have as a little weekend fun car if you so choose. Like it's very attainable right now.
That's the stuff that Andrew and I have talked about with a lot of stuff. Like, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but like, you don't have to, don't spill the beans. This is yours, because it's not actually one of my next ones, because we've talked about it before. I wanted to bring new stuff to the table, but like square headlight Jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. Like I like the things that nobody else likes.
No, I've tried to stay away. I intentionally on my list tried to stay away from stuff that I've talked about a million times.
Yep. Only pull out my deepest, darkest secrets.
Right. Okay. I think I get it now. So this here's my first one, and I don't know. I feel like, Tristan, you've definitely told me that you hate this car, and you're obviously.
Is it the car that you think I should like?
No, it's not the Honda Element.
Okay.
Although you do love that car.
It's not on my list.
And I do too. But I've talked about that car a million times. Although it is not dissimilar. It's an interesting car that has a 0 to 60 time in under 6 seconds and a 14-second quarter mile.
Okay.
With 365 horsepower and a towing capacity of 4,500 pounds.
Oh,
no longer in production, but forever remembered fondly, the Ford Flex.
Really? Really? You like the Flex?
I don't like
What
the Flex.
good
I
company.
love the Flex.
Really?
My dad loves the Flex also. God.
I love the Ford Flex. The EcoBoost Flex. It had that awesome engine in it. And apparently, I just was looking up the 0 to 60 time because I was like, I remember it was fast, but 4,500 pound towing capacity with a Ford Flex. And I've never even seen one with a trailer hitch on it, to be clear.
So when you were first listing off the specs, 365, 0 to 60, and what'd you say, like 6 seconds?
Yeah, 5.7.
It sounded like if I had time in the chat, I was going to like base Camaro. Was what it sounded like. But then you threw out the towing capacity. I'm like, oh shit, never mind.
I just really like this thing. I think that this is in the class of the Venza, and quite possibly, although it's sold very well, Ford's American ST, right? Where Ford brought out something that, in my opinion, would be incredibly popular at this exact moment if they could only figure out how to goddamn market. They can't.
Yeah.
And so they shut this car down in 2019. If you can believe it, they shut this car down in 2019 for no reason at the height of the crossover. If they just marketed
crossover, CUV, SUV.
If they just made this more plush, maybe they have to make it a stupid, idiotic Lincoln or whatever. But if they just kitted this out and honestly marketed it up towards like Land Rover, I think that this could be something that people would still be super popular, would still be flocking to now instead of, but they didn't redesign it. They just let it kind of fester. It had a very dedicated fan base who bought them, but it could actually do some pretty incredible stuff and is just gone at the time when it should be probably one of their best sellers.
So I don't know if you have it in front of you, if you know off the top of your head what it's sold for, but like I would almost see it like Ford could target it against like the Telluride or the Palisade.
For sure. So
it could kind of fit in there if it was still around.
Average price of 26.9.
Okay, so it's a little bit cheaper, but like you said, if they kitted it out, it could fall into that high 30s to 40 range where like a nice Palisade or Telluride fall into, and it could, there's your Challenger. Like,
you know what? Take this and jack it up 2 inches. Like that is where this is supposed to be, right? A little bit bigger wheel, little bit more luxury style interior, get the quilted effect on the seats, exactly like you're talking about. I can't imagine this would be difficult to sell with everything else that's going on.
Well, it's funny. You have one of those moments where like you don't understand something and then somebody describes it a certain way and it makes total sense and your opinion totally changes.
Yeah.
My dad and I have done that to each other a couple times. Like he didn't understand like the Wrangler Unlimited with 4 doors and like then why people then also put like a hardtop on it. Mm-hmm. He's like, you're just making it not a Wrangler anymore. It's got 4 doors, it's got a hardtop. I was like, Dad, think of it like this. Mini G-Wagon. And he's like, whoa, that makes total sense now, right? He did the same thing to me. He did the same thing to me with the Flex. So my opinion is not as, dim as it used to be. He's like, just think. He's like, just think of it as a Suburban that tried hard.
There you go.
I was like, okay, I actually get it now.
That should be if they brought it back, that's the commercial. Ford Flex, the Suburban that tried.
Well, all right. So here's the thing. The Flex was one of the cars that was killed off in the great Ford off-killing of 2018.
The great Hackett killings of Hackett Gate.
So specifically, someone asked about why they killed the Flex when they announced that they're going after SUVs, and Ford's response was, quote, they're killing it out of the, quote, plan to strengthen its focus on products in the heart of the fastest growing segments, which doesn't include a crossover?
Maybe it was the fringes and not the heart.
Jesus.
Maybe New Jim can do something about that.
Day late, dollar short.
They just wanna sell more Explorers.
Explorers and F-150s, yo.
And they would sell Broncos if they had any, but they don't.
Yeah. Okay, but flex. All right, I did not see that coming, Andrew. That was a good one. I think we're off to a pretty good start here. I'm pleasantly surprised at how this went for round one.
Okay, I got to adjust my list because I clearly I had some ideas, and I think that they're a little outmoded now. But
all right, moving on to round two. I'm going to change it up and go to a little bit higher end sports car for my next pick. And this one isn't as much of a guilty pleasure like the 300C was. I don't feel guilty about this at all. I just feel like it doesn't get enough love. So I know from the time that the three of us spent at auto shows, we get to this booth and you guys don't even bother looking left or right. You walk straight through, nothing to see here. This one does not move the needle for you, but I am absolutely in love with the Jaguar F-Type. I absolutely, it's like a poor man's Aston Martin, front engine V8, 5-liter supercharged. And instead of paying $230,000 like you would for a Superleggera or whatever the heck Aston is running, you can start it here at $61K or $61,500 for the F-Type. 500 up to 575 horsepower in the 5-liter supercharged V8. It's the first Jaguar in, I don't know, 50 some odd years that's road legal and can hit 200 miles an hour. And every video I've seen of it, I haven't heard it running in person, but it sounds glorious. Every video, any footage I've seen of it, and anything from the last 5 years. I think the 2021 facelift looks incredible, but even the prior version up until like 2019, 2020, like from the mid 2010s up, like it's just an incredible car. Even though I'm not a convertible person, I do think the convertible version of this looks better than the coupe slightly, but I would take either. I absolutely love this car. Cannot wait to eventually drive one.
But everyone loves this car, literally except for me.
I haven't heard like I said, I haven't heard anybody talking about it. So,
well, they did when it launched, and it's the same car, so no one talks about it anymore.
That's what I mean. I feel like it's not getting enough love. I don't feel guilty about this one like I do about the 300C.
Well,
I just think you like the wrong one.
Okay.
What do you mean?
The V8 one.
Oh, gotcha.
I think is not. They don't. I don't know. It's not. It's too heavy. I was trying to find like it's I guess not balanced. I guess maybe is a good way to say it. I was trying to find like the best way to say it, but like cramming a V8 in the front of that car makes it super nose heavy, and like you can almost see it like when it's driving around. But
I don't even care.
That's why it's your guilty pleasure. I don't have to agree with you, but
yeah. Somebody give me an F-Type.
I feel like that one might be a little weak sauce. You didn't even get booed.
That's fair. I also said it wasn't a guilty pleasure either. It was just one I wanted to talk about because we don't talk about it enough.
Tristan?
All right. Quote unquote guilty pleasure number 2. All of mine are so far in the past.
Yeah, because I think a problem is that like every new car is pretty good.
Yeah,
or it hasn't had the the opportunity to become the hated version of it or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
So so it's going to be actually the Honda Fit.
Yeah, I mean, you almost bought one though. In fairness,
yeah. But
wasn't that your nomination for the car of the people too?
was it?
I'm trying to remember. Maybe.
It was either yours or mine. Ironically, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It's not ironic.
But,
it's not ironic at all.
It's not ironic at all.
It would be ironic if it was named like the Honda Memory.
Exactly.
If none of us are in shape and we're talking about the fit, does that make it ironic?
Hey, there you go. All right.
But yeah, well, it certainly makes it then ironic for me to be talking about it.
I'm not mentally fit there.
But I guess perhaps it's been talked about before, but I think it's the butt end of a lot of jokes on everything from television to things what car people talk about. It's the car you buy because you've bought into the advertising. I think it's kind of the general consensus. But I really like it. I think they did a really good job of, I think much like Ford did with the Fiesta, and unlike the Toyota Yaris or the Nissan Versa, they've done a really good job of bringing a small Asian and European brand, size and sensibility vehicle over and making it, beloved by a certain subset of people, including people I know who've purchased, 2 or 3 in a row. So I think the Honda Fit is generally kind of, scorned by quote unquote car people, and even, that's enough of a meme that's made it into, pop culture. But I love it. It's sad to see that it's not coming to the US anymore, but
Honda Fit. There's one always parked at the chiropractor's office right around the corner from my condo complex.
Is it driven by chiropractors?
I don't know who drives it because I've never seen it being driven. It's always just parked there. But I assume it's one of the chiropractors, unless there's a customer who's there every single day. They've got it really bad.
Or maybe it's a test car. They're like, all right, how bad's your spine? Get in this Honda Fit.
Yeah, cram yourself in this Honda Fit. If you can't do it, we got to fix you.
In the backseat. No.
Okay.
The backseat.
Yeah,
So I didn't get booed there either, Andrew. So I guess I didn't meet the criteria. But
yeah, well, I mean, that was just such a visceral reaction.
Yeah, I don't know if that car's boo worthy. I guess it just doesn't get a reaction out of me. It's one of those I don't look twice at. But
I think it's a little bit normie.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I think it's a guilty pleasure. Oh, well, excuse me. Mr. Hipster, how is your mustache? All right. How can I lead into this one? I feel like Nick did a really good job with his first lead in, which is part of the reason why he got that reaction from me. But I don't know. I don't know how to lead into this one because, all right. So this is a car that is like that was definitely inspired by Need for Speed Underground, but came about 10 years too late. It's a car that has street racing cred, a good amount of power, good amount of torque, a spoiler, a body kit, all of that. And it's also a car that Meg looked at, my wife, and almost bought when she bought her Cobalt. But I told her that it's a good thing she didn't buy it, because if she had owned and driven that car, I never, ever would have talked to her or dated her. So a car that I actually love a lot is the Dodge Caliber SRT 4.
Boo.
That is such no. All right, listen. All right,
boo this, boo,
boo, boo. Hiss.
Wait.
Boo.
Before you continue,
boo, Andrew, boo.
285 horsepower and all-wheel drive.
Boo.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad. All right.
It's pretty bad. So wait a minute.
It's not that bad.
Answer me this question real quick. If you like it so much, why would you have not talked to Meg if she was driving it?
Because she would have gotten the base one, and the base one is tragic and horrendous and awful.
Okay. That's fair. I'm sorry. I'll stop booing. You can continue and try to explain yourself.
All right. So,
Oh,
okay, all right. Let me sell it to you this way. It has a boost gauge that comes with a vacuum side as well. So it's a real boost gauge.
Okay.
whoa.
Paul Walker probably never drove one of these, but he would have if he was poor.
Oh,
Got it. Okay. How'd you put it that way?
Okay. All right. I honestly, there's no particular reason for me to like this car. It is horrendous to look at. It is absolutely tragic to see in public in any capacity. I've never even seen an SRT4, if I'm being completely honest. They may not really exist. But I really like the idea. I like the concept. It checks even now. So this car came out in like what, 5 or something. It was that the mid aughts.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed like it's everything I've ever wanted in a car, and it still is today. I always wanted a hatchback with all-wheel drive, power, manual gearbox, and some edge to it. While it's ugly, it had edge.
I mean, this is guilty pleasure, so if it floats your boat, I mean, that's good for you. But man,
Is that the worst one yet?
Worst vehicle, so probably the best presentation so far.
Honestly,
the most fitting of this episode.
I'm just gonna link the gallery of photos. The interior of this car, even for 07 or 08, whenever this was published, is so, it's horrible. It is the worst thing I've ever seen.
But yet you
abhorrent.
like it. So
it's gotta be. I mean, there's just something to it. I actually.
How long did they produce that car for? Like, when did they stop?
2009.
Really?
Okay, so this car was so good it killed the brand. Apparently, we can't link in this chat. Anyways, I don't know. It's not. I'm not saying it for the meme. I do genuinely think that this car has something to it. It is just a miserable sight to behold.
Especially the interior. Good Lord.
Oh, how did Dodge survive this? Oh, they didn't. They got sold 4 times.
When I was looking up the 300C, I was, kind of looking up like what different iterations of the parent company there were, and there was like, since 2004, there's been like 4 ownership changes.
Yeah, no, they were genuinely sold at least 3 times.
Insane. For a company that big, you're not supposed to get sold 4 times in 20 years.
Absolutely not. And especially not to be around on the other side.
Well, there's that boost meter.
What does Dodge actually make anymore? The
Caravan?
The Challenger, no, I don't think they make the Caravan anymore. The 2 cars.
And then technically the
Charger?
Ram spinoff.
Charger and Challenger. Is
Charger,
Ram
oh yeah, no, here. Charger, Challenger, Durango, Journey, and Grand Caravan still.
Oh my god, the Journey is still around.
Hey, I'm looking at this interior, Andrew. You know what it looks like? It looks like an Alfa Romeo. That's where all the unused parts went.
Oh,
into the Julias.
It's just the worst thing. However, there's just I don't know, man. If someone were to give me an SRT4,
You'd pay the taxes on it?
I'd pay the taxes on it, and they would be low.
It'd be extremely low.
They would be low.
I guess another bonus, right?
I would play some Sugar Ray in this.
Yeah, you would.
the one you would get would have that disc stuck in the player.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You
What could
wouldn't
be
have a
better?
choice. You'd have to.
What could be better?
Or Matchbox 20.
The only
Matchbox
track
20.
that played was Every Morning.
Hey, it could be worse. I would get Frosted Tips and drive it to work.
I would buy it for you to see that.
All right, I'll send you a post.
Oh man, let's make this happen. That's going to be awesome. Oh, that's a good one, Andrew. Terrible car,
Thanks.
but good round.
It's not a terrible car. It only killed the company. It's not that bad.
Okay, so this next one for me is probably my deepest cut. It's over 50 years old. They produced less than 4,000, around 3,800 of them, and rightfully so, because it was terrible at both things it tried to be.
Uh-oh.
But I see this almost, for all Top Gear fans out there, I see this as, like, I would own one of these and name it Oliver. Like, this is my Oliver.
Oh.
I really, really dig, for some reason not based in anything concrete, I really like the Amphicar.
Ugh.
The Amphicar Model 770.
You disgust me.
It's a terrible car. It's an even worse boat. But
you can ride one after my wedding, Nick, if you want to.
Oh, I know. I just saw that when I was looking up some info on it. They use them at Disney World.
That's pretty cool, actually. We should do that.
We should actually do that. That would be great. It would make, besides the fact that you're getting married, obviously, it would make my week.
You see how you got second place there, Tristan?
Yeah, well...
No, I said besides the fact that he got
at least
he's number one. And the
Andrew, at least he booked his tickets.
Yeah.
The Amphicar ride would be a close second to the wedding, seeing my best friend get married. But I don't know, maybe it's because I'm such a Bond fan, and this is he had like the submarine Lotus and stuff, and like I can also drive a car that turns into a boat. Maybe that's it.
I don't think it's going to go that smoothly. But will you sing the Bond theme when we're on them?
Oh, that'd be great.
No, the
or that one.
Yeah, you got to bring the
action.
You got to bring the horns out.
The action sequence theme. Yeah. So I love them. I think around here we're fortunate enough to live around a lot of lakes. It would be great at boat launches. I could just drive right in, just bypass the line. See you guys.
Boy, I would love to see that attempted.
I could have a blast in this thing. I really do like it for no good reason.
LS swap it and use it as a ski boat.
Oh my God.
Where? LS swap it where?
Get Bozy on the horn. Bozy, we're LS swapping an Amphicar.
Oh my God.
Drive it from the back seat.
You would have to.
We're out on Pewaukee Lake with it, like towing the ski show team.
Oh wait, guys, no, it's rear engine. This would work perfectly.
Oh, even better.
You could just take out the back seats.
Yeah, make it a 2-seater.
See?
Ooh. Oh God.
No, Andrew's interested.
Can you imagine how much you'd have to then just weld the entire frunk, just pour molten iron into it as a counterbalance?
Especially if when you hammer the gas as it's getting up on plane, it just stands on its tail.
There's like
flips over backwards.
There's no water left in the lake. It just plows it all out into the road, out of the beaches, trying to come up on plane.
That would be hilarious. Oh man, someone's done it. Amphicar LS swap.
Google searching right now.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
For the top Google result wasn't a YouTube video, so no one's done it.
Mm-mm.
That's what that means.
Yep. So maybe we can find one for cheap and be the first to do it.
God. Possible. Oh my God. Possible engine conversion options. I'm building an Amphicar with a Toyota MR2 engine, hooked to a VW bus transmission.
Oh wow.
Honda VTEC. Nice to know we have better choices of running gear than Cubans. What? That's
whoa,
bizarrely racist.
Whoa.
Okay, so all right. Well, for the listeners here, before I fall too far down this rabbit hole, there is a full forum for this, and it is marginally active.
So people are trying shit with them.
Yes, they absolutely are, or at
There
least
is a
looking
There is a
for
niche
parts.
market for this.
Noise from transmission or clutch. Yeah, the car's 1,000 years old, buddy.
It's gonna have noise. Yeah.
Anyways,
Anywho, Amphicar is my third guilty pleasure choice.
that's weird.
Mine.
Call me what you want. I don't care.
I did. No, I think that's very interesting, and we fell down an even more interesting rabbit hole with it. But so for my third guilty pleasure, it's something that I believe I have like mentioned on the podcast before, but I don't think we've gone into any serious detail. But it is the Mazda 5.
Was that wagon?
It was like the weird, like littlest minivan.
Oh no, I was thinking of the
right.
Mazda. I think it was
Insert
just
number here.
hatchback.
6.
Anyways,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was basically their kind of, what do they call them in England? The people carrier.
Mazda 6.
So.
Oh yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was. I'll, paste the image here.
It actually got super good reviews.
Yeah, it did.
Yep.
And like I said, it was. It did have quote unquote disappointing crash test scores.
For a family car.
Yeah,
You love to see it.
But yeah, it was. We rented one at least twice as a family, and like simply superb road trip car. It's got the whole minivan, sliding doors, big flat rear cargo area thing going on, while it still drives like a decently put together Mazda. They're always going to be, sharp in the handling department and everything else, even if it's not, Mazda speed product. But they're, it's a really well put together car from a driving perspective, and it's just immensely useful. like three rows of captain's chairs, instead of a bench or anything like that.
That's nice.
So the access to the third row is super easy, because you just walk between the front two seats. But yeah, it's like I've actually audibly heard it derided as, which is funny because it's like, well, why didn't they just buy a minivan? It's like, that's usually not the go-to slur thrown at people, is that they should have bought a minivan. But I think it's incredibly useful. It is super boring to look at. And it came in, I think like the only interesting color was like maybe red. Everything else is gray and silver and black, and I think just a red. And Nick, this is kind of a combination of, I have heard it talked badly about occasionally, but mostly just kind of underappreciated. I think there was like 1 year where they sold more than 20,000 of these things.
Yeah.
Wow. So
not a great seller.
Nope. But that's kind of Mazda's MO outside of the Miata.
Yes. Which I saw it's a weird thing. When we were buying my dad's car at Hall, they had a first generation Miata, the second Miata ever titled in the state of Wisconsin. They have in their showroom.
Wow.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, so the Mazda 5, a little bit underappreciated and a little bit ridiculed, so it kind of falls into both of those categories, Nick. So that was my wrap up one, is kind of a little bit of both sprinkled on top.
That's a good one, and I think we talked about this with the first time we had Artisan Loaf on. Like, Mazda is just one of those brands, and we don't talk about them that much at all. And it's like they don't necessarily build bad cars. It's just I just don't think they know where to place themselves in the market. They're just kind of out there in no man's land. Like they're too expensive, so you're not going to shop them with Camrys or Civics, but you're also not going to shop them with like an RCF. You know, they're kind of like right in the middle, and it's like, what do you do with them? It's kind of there, but they don't necessarily make bad cars. I've never really seen a poorly reviewed one that I can remember.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's an interesting pick.
All right, let's see here. I got a couple last ones that I like. Let's see. Some nominees. I was thinking Chrysler 200, but that's kind of boring. It was just a shitty car, essentially.
Mm-hmm. But do you like it? Or was it you just want to
I always liked it, but it's just essentially it's like a it's a modern car, so it's essentially better than anything made in the 30 years that precede it, but it was just a bad car. And I've also thought about the Volkswagen Thing, but I mean,
they have one of those to haul too.
It's mostly for the meme though, because obviously everyone wants a car that you can just take apart with your hands.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm going to go with a car that I've never mentioned on this podcast ever, and I've never even thought about until I saw it just a few days ago and was like, oh my God, I forgot about that thing. The Suzuki X90.
Whoa. Okay.
Tiny little it looks like every remote control car in any low budget video game ever. It's the size of a peanut, and it is a off-roader nominally with a very 1990s spoiler on the back. And it has a T-top, removable top, and it's the dumbest shit ever, and it's completely awesome.
It's listed as a compact sport utility vehicle. Yeah, I'll say.
Oh, it's quite compact. It's smaller than that.
Literally dozens of horsepower.
95.
Yeah.
With 1,000-pound towing capacity.
Oh my God, you can tow with it.
As much as we make fun of the X90, the Suzuki Samurai had 66 horsepower.
Dude, they used for a while they used the X90 as the Red Bull marketing cars.
Yes, because you could stick a
Red Bull can sticking off the back.
They did. Oh my God, I forgot.
You can buy one. Vehiclemarkets.com. This is 1998 Suzuki X90 Red Bull. They took the can and the decals off, but it still has the blue and gray livery on it.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That is totally awesome. This thing is, I mean, it's like the Samurai, but it's far more lovable. And if you can find a picture of the stock interior, it's marvelous. The fabric should be used on every car. I mean, it's so hard for me to describe how small this thing is. It's
almost smart car. Small.
I think it's as small as a smart car.
It's like Honda Del Sol on stilts.
Yes, it's itty bitty.
This thing is awesome.
And the fabric looks like the soda cups from the gas station.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's the most amazing fabric I've ever seen. Rolling
I want a
start.
Red Bull one.
Oh my God.
How much for this Red Bull one?
5 to 60, 12 seconds.
Hey, it was 4x4.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like a off-roader.
Oh my God. What is this modified or is this real, Andrew?
What?
How does the trunk open?
I don't actually know.
So I've got a picture of it opening like hatches on the top.
I believe that is correct. Yep. It is. I didn't know. It is in fact hatches.
Oh my God.
At least on certain guys.
You guys, I went down this rabbit hole here. The Red Bull, the old Red Bull version
So it was at least the trunk when it was those, because that's where they literally had the Red Bull in the hatches.
Yeah. I'm gonna put the image in so you guys know what I'm talking about. Hopefully it shows up. All right, take a look at that. So they just took the Red Bull decals off, but it's still the same blue and gray paint. It's in Port Washington. You guys, it's within like an hour of us.
How much?
It doesn't say. It just says contact the seller. So 98 like Suzuki X90, car runs and drives great, has 54,000 original miles, rust-free body and undercarriage, but does have some dings and scratches here and there. Interior is in nice shape. T-tops, power windows, air conditioning, and built-in coolers in the back.
Oh, I'm going to Moab.
Title is still in Red Bull North America's name.
Whoa!
Fabulous.
That's even cooler.
We should get this.
How much is it?
I will contact the seller and ask him how much
We can repaint it as our logo.
How about we don't repaint it?
Just put our logo on it.
Exactly.
This is our marketing car, and then we can take this to Road America with water in the coolers and pass them out in Check Engine Podcast can coolies or beer or whatever.
Two of us can.
Yeah, two of us can.
It's got towing capacity. I'll just sit in the back in the trailer.
Oh my God. I cannot even believe it. Please email them.
I'm going to contact the seller as soon as we get off this episode.
Oh my God. This went better than I ever could have imagined.
Oh, it's got a cassette player, bro? Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a 5-speed 4x4.
You could totally go to Moab.
So stoked for Moab.
I'd be so stoked. I'm so stoked for brewskis at Moab.
Brewskis at Moab.
Oh, this made my night. Andrew, thank you so much for bringing this up.
Amazing.
Awesome.
It shouldn't be a guilty pleasure is what I'm telling you.
Well, all right, my mistake.
But that's so cool. So I feel like that's a really good spot to end. I don't know how many cars you guys picked. Do we have like any other honorable mentions that we want to get out there before we Andrew, you mentioned a couple of yours.
I did. Did I mention the Toyota Previa?
You did not. Until just now.
I've definitely brought that up. That's not a guilty pleasure. That's just a really, really good van. And like kind of gone too soon territory because it was mid-engine, all-wheel drive. Like that was, and also a big part of my childhood, obviously, but that was still one of like that's like the ideal minivan to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're wrong there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, I've got a couple other ones. The Buick Regal GS was on my list.
Okay.
As a guilty pleasure, because we shit on anytime we talk about Buick, it's very negative, and I think most people now do.
Buick is mostly a furry company now, but
yeah, mostly.
Yeah, as you tweeted.
But for the performance you can get out of a GS, again, another one of those where, like, if I won it at a casino, I wouldn't mind driving it home.
Actually, you know what? It's funny you should bring that car up. I saw a Regal GS today with the license plate fast sedan.
Oh, there you go. And it is. So, I mean, he's that person is not lying.
It was accurate.
So that was an honorable mention of mine. Tristan, to your Mazda theme, RX-8. The last edition of the RX-8, I kind of had a soft spot for. Plus the whole rotary engine thing, a little bit quirky, right? So,
oh yeah.
And then this one is more like the F type for me, where it's not a guilty pleasure. I just think we don't talk about the brand enough, and they make really good shit. I really, really, really dig the Volvo S60.
Yeah, me too. Actually, the newest one I saw recently.
Oh my God,
on the road, and I was like, okay, that actually looks really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it does look really awesome.
For me, I put it up there almost with like, it's on that plane with like a Genesis.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so, I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure. It's just, hey, we don't talk about Volvo a lot in the show, so I got to bring it up. So those are mine. Tristan, do you have any other honorable mentions?
I did have one. The Jeep Patriot.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
I almost bought one. I had the definitely not the Jeep Liberty. At least the old Liberties or the Compass. Actually, more specifically, they were actually built in the same factory as the Compass. But because those are actually awful. And this one had really its only weak point was the kind of so CVT. But it did have a 5-speed manual, I think, available. Also, which fixed a lot of that. And it was the most approachable Jeep until I think probably the new Cherokee or maybe the new Renegade to get the trail rated badge for a while. But tons of space, really long wheelbase comparatively, so it towed well, and the seats were super comfortable, and I don't even think it looks all that bad. It's got kind of the mid 2000s a Jeep face with the vertical grille and the round headlights and everything is square. So it's not great, but I think it looked better than a lot of other things they were slapping that look on. So that was pretty good. And plus, if we could, import a European version, one of the options in Europe was a Volkswagen diesel paired to a 6-speed manual. So a Toyota manual.
That all sounds great. It sounds just fabulous. But you know what the Jeep Patriot is, right? It's a lifted caliber.
No.
It is. It's a lifted caliber.
Because it shares a platform.
Because it's the same car with a lift.
No, the Jeep Compass is the same car with a lift.
Oh, whatever.
Be wrong and suck it. Jeep Compass.
Episode title.
That is the episode title.
The Jeep Compass is literally a facelifted caliber.
That's right. Which is
what I hated. So
I think if I remember
so
right,
terribly sorry.
I sat in the Patriot at a car show once, and it wasn't bad, except for when I sat in the seat, my head was scraping the roof.
That's true. And I don't
not
have
made for tall
problems.
people.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was a weirdly not even a weirdly short car, just weirdly, I guess, squat.
It was they tried to get ground clearance without making the overall vehicle too tall, so the roof line was low.
That was weird.
So,
all right. Well, cool, guys. I was a little nervous, but I thought that actually went quite well.
Yeah, once I figured out what the heck, like I said, I had a bunch of other stuff like the Pontiac Tempest wagon, but that's just a car I like and hate the people who drive it. So that doesn't really count too much. Just stuff like that.
You'd be a little guilty if you drove it because you'd be one of those people, but...
Well, no, because I'd be the person who brought his to an auto show and then went around ripping the GTO badges off of everyone's Tempest wagon because it's just not a thing that was ever made. It's not a GTO, it's a Tempest. Stop.
That's true. That's true. So, listeners, let us know some of your guilty pleasures. What cars do you like that you think only you like? Or you like it even though you know it's a bad car or truck or van? Let us know. We told you how to get a hold of us on the socials, so reach out and let us know if we missed any. So, you guys ready to close out for the week?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So thanks for sticking with us today, everybody. We appreciate you listening. But as we said, we don't want you just to listen. We want to interact with you. Let us know what your guilty pleasure vehicles are. We already mentioned how to find us on the socials. As you're listening, as you're streaming on your favorite platform, be sure to please leave us a review, preferably a good one I'll take 4 stars, but preferably 5. You can also hit that subscribe button for us. It's free. You'll get notified of any new content that we put out. If you're really into what we're doing and you'd like to support us monetarily, you have 2 options for that. You can go to patreon.com/checkenginepodcast, or you can hit the support button on our homepage at anchor.fm/checkenginepodcast. Every cent pledge is put towards making this podcast a better experience for you, the listener, and or getting our hands on the Red Bull Suzuki X90. None of it goes back into our personal pockets. So again, thank you in advance. Who or what are we thanking before we get out of here, guys?
I mean, I'll thank Red Bull for having a still titled X90 for no reason.
Damn it, you took mine.
Yeah, I know I did. Had to get in there early and often.
Son of a bitch.
No, because actually, if through some idiotic mistake of fate we can actually get our hands on this thing, that would be pretty hilarious.
I would take it everywhere.
Absolutely.
Sorry, ST.
You would look so insane in that thing.
I know. And then, yeah, sorry, ST, but now you're going to be my garage baby. It's just going to be in there under a sheet because I'm driving the X90.
So here's the problem. There are no results on eBay Motors for Suzuki X90.
Uh-oh. Tristan, who or what are you thanking? Or are we just going to stick to the common theme?
Yeah, I'm gonna expand upon that. Thank you, Andrew, for alerting us to the X90, and
Yes.
and thank you, Nick, for finding that listing right in our own backyard.
Oh yeah, super exciting.
It's at least opened up, a line of questioning. Do we have to buy this?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Seller Import Washington. Thanks, Red Bull. And as always, thank you, listeners, for your continued support. We love hearing from you. We love recording this for you, and we cannot wait to speak to you again, hopefully with a new Suzuki X90 update. Until then, take care.